What does it take to walk into a real emergency scene and have actual cops hesitate for even a second? Not a real badge, not a real commission, not a real oath, just the costume, the lights, the tone, the nerve. Because in Bremerton, Washington, police say one man figured out a very ugly truth. If you dress authority up the right way, a lot of people will accept it before they question it. He rolled up to active calls in an unmarked Ford Explorer with blue lights, wearing body armor marked police and SWAT, flashing a metal badge and identifying himself as an off-duty Edmonds detective. And for a moment, it worked. One Bremerton officer later told him, "I thought you were like one of our detectives at first." That line says everything. This is not just a fake cop story. It's a story about how thin the line is between authority and theater, and how dangerous that gets when the wrong man decides he belongs in the scene. Before you get to the blue lights, before the fake detective act, before the body armor and the badge, you have to understand what kind of person does this, because nobody accidentally becomes this guy. According to police and court reporting, Michael Scaletta-Teates wasn't just overstating himself, he was manufacturing an identity in real time. At different points, officers say he claimed to be with Edmonds, claimed he had retired from Baltimore after 27 years, claimed he had worked for Thurston County, claimed he was gang unit, intelligence division, task force adjacent, parole and probation adjacent, just a blur of law enforcement flavored answers, dumped out fast enough to overwhelm scrutiny. That's the pattern, not one lie, a stack of them. He understood that if one badge won't carry the act, a whole biography might. And that kind of person isn't chasing a paycheck. He's chasing the feeling, respect, fear, control. The costume isn't the point. The point is what the costume makes other people do. And the biography falls apart the second you do basic math. Reports said Scaletta-Teates was 49 years old, but a LinkedIn profile attributed to him claimed he was a Baltimore police officer from 1992 to 2012, which would mean he started policing at around 16 years old. The same profile also placed him at John Jay in New York from 1999 to 2004, at the University of Miami from 2004 to 2008, and serving as a lieutenant in the Baltimore Fire Department from 2006 to 2023. In other words, he was building a resume the same way he built the costume, by stacking official-looking pieces together and hoping nobody checked if the timeline made any sense. At some point, Scaletta-Teates allegedly figured out something dangerous. You don't need real authority to imitate authority. You just need the pieces: an unmarked Ford Explorer, blue lights, body armor, police patches, SWAT markings, a metal badge, a gun, a body cam, the whole visual package that tells people, "Don't question me." And that's the difference between learning the job and performing the fantasy. Real guards learn post orders, report writing, de-escalation, licensing, where their authority begins and where it stops. The costume guys skip all that and go straight to the gear. That's exactly why I built my guard guides resume tools and study aids on Etsy in the first place, to help people get into security the right way, without looking or acting like this. Links are in the description. Because to a resident, a driver, a shelter client, even a distracted officer hitting a scene fast, this package could read official before it read fake. That was the trick. Not one prop, a whole system. A one-man police department built out of appearance. The outfit was one thing, the conduct was the other, because police say Scaletta-Teates didn't just drive around looking like law enforcement. He inserted himself into actual incidents: a trespassing call, a reported fire in a parking garage. Even earlier, according to reporting on the police documents, he acted as backup for a Bremerton officer at a 7-Eleven near the Salvation Army. Read that again. Not standing nearby, not observing, not calling it in, acting like backup. That is a whole different level of delusion, or confidence, or stupidity, maybe all three. According to investigators, this man had been hired for private, unarmed security work at a local Salvation Army. That is already a real job, a legitimate job, a bounded job, and apparently that was not enough. So instead of doing security work, police say he was committing law enforcement acts in the downtown corridor. That's the moment the story gets nasty, because now we are not talking about cosplay in a parking lot. We are talking about a man sliding himself into scenes where real authority, real liability, and real public trust were already in play. Then came the worst thing that can happen to a fake cop. Real cops with real cameras. Bremerton bodycam footage is what turned this from rumor into spectacle. You can hear the skepticism grow in real time. First the look, then the questions, then the holes in the story, and then that brutal line, "I thought you were like one of our detectives at first." That is not just a funny quote, that is the whole case in one sentence. The act was good enough to pass the first glance. Not the second, not the third, but the first? Yeah, good enough. And once the questions started, the performance began to wobble. Couldn't produce the right credentials. Couldn't make the story sound coherent. Edmonds police confirmed he did not work there. Investigators concluded the badge number was not real. That's how these things usually end. Not with some grand unmasking, with detail, with paperwork, with one boring question too many. The costume gets all the attention. The collapse comes from the little stuff. It always does. Once Bremerton police stopped treating him like maybe he's legit and started treating him like a suspect, the whole thing fell apart fast. Scaletta-Teates was arrested and charged in Kitsap County with first-degree criminal impersonation and second-degree unlawful possession of a firearm, because investigators also determined he had a prior felony conviction. He pleaded not guilty. Bail was set at 50 grand, and just like that, the man allegedly moving through scenes like an off-duty detective was standing in court as a defendant. That turn is always brutal. One minute you are playing, "I know the task force guys." Next minute you are asking not to be cuffed in front of everybody. That is the risk with fake authority. It feels powerful right up until it meets real paperwork, real databases, real agencies that can confirm in about 10 seconds that you are not who you said you were. The costume can buy you a moment, maybe two. It cannot survive the records check. And this is the part that really makes the whole thing feel Jeremy DeWitt adjacent. Not because the scope is the same, it isn't. DeWitt was his own ecosystem of chaos, but because the energy is familiar, the confidence, the shamelessness, the way a man can be standing in front of real officers, with the story obviously collapsing, and still keep performing, still keep talking like the problem is everybody else being unreasonable. According to reporting, Scaletta-Teates allegedly called himself Mezzi Scaletta. He allegedly told officers he knew task force guys. He tried to talk his way through it, with the same posture that probably helped him get away with it around civilians. That is the giveaway with this personality type. They don't just lie, they commit to the lie long after the room has changed, long after the audience is gone, long after the handcuffs are already out. It's not damage control, it's muscle memory. The act has been running so long they don't know how to shut it off cleanly. And then the story got worse, because Bremerton was not the only place his presence showed up. Later reporting said investigators linked Scaletta-Teates to bodycam footage from a June Seattle fire response involving a deceased man in a vehicle. In that video, a man can be heard directing people to step away from the body before first responders closed the hatch. Seattle Fire said the individual did not affect patient care decisions, but that almost misses the point. The point is, he was there, again, near another real scene, around more real responders, looking the part, acting the part, moving like he belonged there. That is what makes stories like this rot public trust. The average person should not have to run a forensic analysis every time somebody shows up in tactical gear giving instructions. But people like this force that problem onto everybody else. Every responder, every witness, every bystander, every legitimate guard who now has to deal with the fallout of one clown deciding the uniform is a shortcut to status. And here's where this all lands for real security guards. Most guards are not trying to be cops. They are trying to get through shift change, paperwork, access control, trespass issues, maybe a medical, maybe a fire alarm, maybe a drunk, maybe nothing. Most of the job is boring, procedural, and unglamorous, which is exactly why people like this are so destructive, because they weaponize the public's ignorance. The public already confuses uniforms, already confuses patches, already confuses security, special police, peace officer, sheriff, detention, campus, all of it. A guy like this steps right into that confusion and turns it into social power. That hurts everybody doing the job the right way. A vest is not a badge. A blue light is not a commission. A stern tone is not jurisdiction. And private security, for all its flaws, already has enough image problems without some fake detective roaming around in a Salvation Army parking lot playing city cop. Guards know the line. Allegedly, he didn't care about the line at all. The rise in stories like this is always weirdly quick. a few patches, a few lights, a good enough look, a few people fooled. The fall is quicker. Police say he was a convicted felon. Police say he had a firearm. Police say he was not Edmonds police, had no legitimate commission card, and was carrying a fake or mimic badge. The officer who first thought he might be legit ended up helping unravel the act. By September, the man presenting himself like an off-duty detective was in court pleading not guilty, with trial set for November in Kitsap County. And that right there is the whole arc. He built authority out of optics. Optics got him access. Access got him noticed. Notice got him questioned. Questions destroyed the fantasy. That is the problem with fake power. It depends on nobody checking too closely. The second they do, it turns from command presence into evidence. Here's the truth nobody likes saying out loud. The public is easier to fool than it should be. That is not an insult. That is just reality. People see the vest, the badge, the lights, the radio, the tone, and they fill in the rest. They assume the system already vetted the man standing in front of them. They assume the costume came from somewhere official. They assume nobody would be crazy enough to just walk into the role. And then a story like this blows up and you remember, oh yes, they would. Most security guards are not fake cops. Most guards do not want to be fake cops. Most guards would rather avoid the headache entirely. But every stereotype has a prototype, and men like this feed it. They make every clean, professional guard look suspect by association. Michael Scaletta-Teates, according to police, was not Edmonds PD. He was not some off-duty detective doing the city a favor. He was a man in borrowed authority, trying to force the world to salute a costume. And a costume can open a door. A real badge can carry a scene. A fake one can carry you straight into court. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more guard guides, and be safe.